Hey guys, we're going to use the same blade and razor that we used yesterday. This is a Merkur 37 vintage model, actual brass construction instead of the current pot metal that they're doing with the modern razors. The soap, since it's really cool temperatures today, I love bringing out the Hallows because it's just that kind of scent with all of its goodness. The I like it anytime, but why not? The hammer and chisel is the handle, and Declaration Grooming B5 is the knot for this shave. And then we're going to be using the silver blue. I believe this is the third use of this guy. And I'm going to put the brush back in the mug to be soaking. And it doesn't need to soak for too long, but a little bit is good. And today we're going to use a slightly different bowl. I showed you this one yesterday. It's a little bit bigger than the Tupperware cereal bowl that I used yesterday. And I didn't think it was going to be as problematic before as it was. There just wasn't enough margin. The lather did stay in, but it was a little bit of work to try to keep it in. This one's larger, and so I bet I won't have that same problem. Let's try and see. I was also using a kind of a brand new boar brush and yesterday, and so the lather was just all over the place. It was one that I had to try to rescue several times. I ended up getting a good shave, but it was a lot of work, and had a lot of brush work on the face and a new scrubby boar that was almost scritchy. Did not end up feeling great on my face by the end of the shave, but young boars just are kind of like that. They kill lather. You just got to use it. If you don't like it, using it in the shave, take it into the shower with you. Work it up on your bar soap, and then, scrub your body with it. Scrub your face if you want, your arms, and then let it sit and dry, and then use it like that for a while, and that'll help to break it in. All right. Let us throw the Gillette Silver Blue in the razor. The 37C is the nomenclature for the modern slant from Merkur, but this one is the 37 without the C, according to my research. And I really enjoyed the shave from it yesterday. It is, with this blade in it, it was not aggressive, it was smooth, felt just terrific. The lather, like I said, was kind of wonky, and so I don't think it inspired me to get as close as I could have in this area here, because after all, I was having to kind of face lather for a lot of the shave and a lot of brush work, and so I didn't want to irritate my neck. So that's why I'm reusing this guy again. He's got a great look, almost a silvery, whitish tone to the handle, and then more of a normal chrome type plating to the top part. I don't think it's chrome, but it might be. Maybe it is chrome. I don't think it's nickel. I don't think it looks like nickel, but I do believe that these vintage ones were brass, and that's encouraging. And I can see why Merkur might gather and have a great reputation if it built its name on razors like this. It's too bad that they've changed their materials to something much more inferior. I don't have my syringe, but I remembered that I had a backup measuring tool. I don't think it would have helped me yesterday with that boar brush and the young boar, and the way I had to go back so many times to the tub wouldn't have mattered at all. Man, this is in 10 milliliter increments, so this is the same amount of water as one of my syringes. So we can hopefully keep track of it if we want to that way. Let me get my face wet. Tell you what, next time I use that boar, I'm going to use it with a soap that I don't mind using a ton of. Just a really inexpensive soap that I just really enjoy digging into. Shake a lot of the water out of this brush, and then we'll get into the Hallows here. Let's just do 20 seconds. I started at 5 seconds, and so go to 25. I don't think we'll need too much. Medium pressure. And there we go. Man, Hallows. Oh. It's very nuanced. It's got a whole bunch of different things going on at once as well. And then, now, the problem with this bowl is it doesn't have very much to hold on to, so I did experience issues with that Tupperware bowl yesterday. It was tough to find a good grip on it, so it's fine that it's not a good size because I wouldn't want to use it anyway. As you can see, we've kind of combined all the water that was in the brush with the soap, so we can start adding in. Okay, let's just go ahead and do 10 milliliters right away. I'm sure we're going to use it up. 2 teaspoons is what that is. This one, while larger because of that big footprint there, the brush actually travels quite a bit across the bottom, and that doesn't really give you a lot of agitation. It only really agitates when you're on the edges. And so I may find this one just as problematic to when I don't have very much margin on the side to kind of make sure the lather doesn't overflow, but I got a feeling it's still going to be better. All right, let us refill my little measuring thing here, and then let's add who knows, this is one of those measuring devices where you just kind of pour and then you count at the end instead of trying to add a teaspoon. It's a little too hard to do that since it's so long and thin. But yeah, this lather's looking very nice. And also, this is proof of what you can do. I mean, this is a tremendous lather in just a standard kitchen bowl. You don't have to have something fancy. You can see the lather's building up around the sides. I'm going to pour the rest in here. Then maybe a little bit more. This is a very wet lather, very wet. This is the Soft Heart from Barrister and Mann. And notice we've got some tiny micro bubbles in there, but this bowl here is not one that has any texture in it. It doesn't have any ridges or bumps. It's not glossy, just kind of that kind of standard matte plastic finish. And so it's not introducing any bubbles because of the bowl, and yet there are bubbles there. And I've just observed that after a while, and some people say that those textured bowls aren't very good because they don't want to introduce air into the lather, but as you can see, it just doesn't really matter. I think it's the soap. I think the brush is actually what's introducing the air in, and so whether you have a textured bowl or not, you're going to have that experience. So with this as wet as it is, I'm going to give it a couple of minutes of work here in the bowl. Maybe work out some of those bubbles and make it extra creamy. And as you can see, it is kind of close to the edge in terms of flowing over, so it's definitely not as worry-free as my usual 3D printed bowl that has more vertical sides. But this is proof that it works great. It works well, and so I mean anybody can go get a bowl from their kitchen. That's terrific right there. All right. In a little bit of a hurry. Got some family stuff that we're doing tomorrow, and I need my sleep. So, oh, the Hallows smells so good. The Merkur is ready. Get my face wet. And here we go. As you can see, one nice thing about a bowl that opens so wide at the top, that has such angular walls, is that there is not nearly as much mess on your handle and on your fingers. So that gives you nice control of the brush. It's more comfortable because the handle isn't getting slippery. You're not having to hold it with some kind of death grip. Now this is a B5 knot, like I said, and it's super comfy. It's a welcome feel from yesterday's work on that boar brush it's young and very scrubby, and also had to be used so much on my face. Got some oils on my face, and so that's kind of reducing the lather's effectiveness a little bit, but it's also why we have so much in the bowl. So you can always kind of dip back in. This is a B5 that happens to be lofted a little higher, and I'm so glad I found it, because Scott's standard practice is to mount them lower. And if it's mounted that low, then it's not an enjoyable knot for me. All right. Okay, Merkur, let's see how you do today with a more normal lather. Start on the other side with the grain pass, and for me, with the grain is from north to south on my cheeks. Again, moving through the hair easily. It's a third use, and so it's still a pretty young blade. As always, I'm keeping that light touch. It is a slant razor, and so it twists the blade, applies a little bit of torsion, and a couple of things happen. Mainly, that makes it hold the blade very still without as much vibration as you usually get. And that means you got consistent feel as it moves across your skin. You're not vibrating at this microscopic level as it moves across. And then I get smoother shaves that way, more control, more consistency, and rinse. I noticed that lather was a little on the wet side, and so I can dab my face like I just did, and so it's not quite as wet as before, and that will firm up the lather just a little bit. Don't have to scrub very much since it's not the first pass. Just lay down a layer. And let's see how feels terrific. And we'll see how the result is at the end of the shave. This feels more like a normal shave for me, unlike yesterday. This lather is, it depends on how you like it. This is a little more wet than I do like it, so I'm not going to say it's on the wet side of perfect. I'm going to say it's a little too wet. However, because this is a high quality soap, this is still a nice performance lather. I don't feel the aggression of the blade. I just feel it moving smoothly across my face, and I do feel it. I feel it cutting, but only just. And so we'll see if it's going to do a good job today. Third pass. So I think I put in, was it 4 teaspoons plus whatever's gone now? So it looks like about almost 5 teaspoons. So for 20 seconds of loading with this brush, that was a little bit on the wet side. But this brush with its ultra soft tips still makes this feel creamy and wonderful. And the slickness of the razor, the ease of the glide as it's moving around, just tremendous. So sometimes you might like more of a creamy feel with your fingers, but other than that, this is perfect. If you don't mind a messy shirt. Okay, again, we're going to just do the cross grain, light touch. Didn't get any irritation yesterday, so I don't really expect to get any today. I did have a stray movement that ended up giving me a nick on my earlobe yesterday. Just kind of not watching my razor closely enough as I was getting it into position. I haven't tried too many slants. I've tried the Maggard slant. Now this is giving me a good bit of feel to where I don't really want to continue with that stroke going from here up this way. It's got a little bit of an against the grain aspect to it. It's mainly cross grain, but it's in a direction that's opposite the way I usually go, and I do that on the third pass. Sometimes it's very smooth and enjoyable. Sometimes it feels like I'm just getting up under those hairs and pulling them and ripping them, and it's not enjoyable. But sometimes when I have that feeling, it means it's getting nice close cut. Sometimes it just means it doesn't. Sometimes it just means irritation and not a close cut, but we'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, looks like we're good. So let me get a good rinse. And then today for the post shave, I've got to try this soap, Liniment from Declaration Grooming. I cleaned up myself, but there's too much length right here. That's happened before in yesterday's shave. I was hoping it was the lather and the fact that I was just being careful because of the excessive brushwork causing me a little bit of bother. But it looks like maybe this might be a similar to the Fatiplo Storto closed comb slant, another slant that is just a little too mild for me. It's great for everywhere else on my face, cheek, neck, cheek, but my trouble spot right here is just the trouble. So let's try to just kind of do a little touch up there. See what happens. It could be that a different blade might perform better. I'm going to lean into the mirror and just see if there's any strays that I can kind of get based on my sight. Yeah, it's kind of generating a little bit of irritation. However, with that work, I'm able to really get close. So it looks like this one's not as good of a blade and razor combination. Maybe the whole razor with a bunch of different blades is going to behave this way. The Fatiplo Storto closed comb slant is it's kind of being this way with many blades that I've tried. My favorites, as well as some obscure ones, they're all kind of behaving the same in giving me just a little bit too much mildness right here, and it's hard to pick up those last few guys. This one's not doing it with a lot of comfort, as we're here at the end with the kind of the pickup pass. But you know, we'll keep playing. I could try a feather in it. Feather often gives a very different result, so that's one option. I have a slightly wet hand, so let's use this liniment in a residually wet face. And so it's a great time to put on this rather viscous / thick liniment. So I don't see any weepers, any problems. I don't feel any irritation. So in that sense, it was a nice shave. Don't get me wrong, I mean, it gives a good shave, and if most guys can go against the grain. And so I'll bet that this razor is going to work better for you. But it looks like for me, I've got other non-slant razors that are my favorites that shave me more comfortably and more closely. Sometimes a slant is exactly what a person needs to address some problems that they have. It's got a certain set of attributes. Because of that torsion, the blade is more firm. Sometimes it's more aggressive, but as we've seen with the Fatip that I've been talking about in this one, it's actually kind of mild, so it doesn't have to be more aggressive. And so it's just different. And so if you have issues, then maybe a slant could help you out. I'm not experienced enough to know kind of which kinds of issues it might be specifically suited for. It's really kind of more of a crapshoot. You just try it and see if it helps you, kind of thing. Well, it turns out I do have one weeper right here. I got it. It's as I was trying to get, there's a few strays in kind of a non-shaving area right there that I didn't want to get too long, and I probably could have done a better job of skin tightening just to make sure that it didn't become a wrinkle. So that could be my fault. And there is a patch or two, a tiny patch or two with some length on it, but still nice close shave, very acceptable for most jobs. I just didn't really care for the level of hair tugging, as I had to take more of an against the grain approach to touch up that area properly. All right, well, there we go. Brush, excellent. Soap, excellent. Lather, a little bit too wet. Worked great though. Super slick, felt smooth. The razor glided nicely, very comfortable. Its weakness is just the lack of closeness in one troubling area in my face. The BaM, wonderful. This was made from some of the different scents from the data collected by trythatsoap.com, and it was like, let's take some of our favorite notes that don't actually exist as a soap already, and I think is the idea, and let's put them together and then sell the soap. And that's what we have for version 1 of Try This Soap. And there's an actual soap to go with the liniment as well, and I've got it and I enjoy it too. I didn't really enjoy Try This Soap 2.0. They did it again, and it had some notes that I didn't really enjoy as much, and so I passed it on. All right, folks. Well, that is it. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves, and I have some. My videos have been delayed because I wasn't at my home computer, and I had a video that was split up, and I have a video joiner that's at my home computer, and so, but I believe I've concatenated everything properly now, and I'll be able to start pushing out videos. Of course, since I broadcast on a slight delay, you would have already known that by now because that was like 4 videos ago. But anyway, I'm trying, guys. I think that's it. Proof today that this bowl works pretty well. I didn't really have holding on problems because it did sit in my hand with enough weight and stuff to where I wasn't struggling to grasp it, so that wasn't an issue. It was something where I had to be a little careful with the lather on the sides. I've been spoiled by that really nice hot bowl that has kind of more vertical sides, but this does a reasonable job, and I would definitely use it if I did not have any other bowls, and I'd probably grow to get used to it and enjoy it, that sort of thing. Especially with any brushes that were a little smaller than this one, that display wasn't quite as wide, this would start to really improve and work better. Well, there we go. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves, and I sure hope that this video has got something for you to help you in your shaving journey. You guys, take care. Have a good night.